Claudine Hemingway is a descendant of famed writer Ernest Hemingway. We bumped into each other at a party and decided to team up and dive deep into French history, but with a twist, by bringing a spotlight to those lesser-known creatives in France. This is History with a Hemingway. So welcome back to Paris History, Avec, Hemingway. And today is a very special day for us because we've reached 3 years of recording. I was saying to Claudine earlier, time flies when you're living through the plague. We started this podcast during the pandemic and we just continued on. And we're so glad to have you guys all still here today listening and giving us feedback. And we always love to hear from you. And to celebrate, we are going to give a couple of our favorite episodes as well as some of our most surprising episodes. So I'm going to let Claudine jump in first.
Yeah, so the very first one was May 20th, 2020.
That's crazy. So right when the pandemic started, basically.
Yeah, like 2 months into it.
Wow.
So crazy. And that feels in some ways like 10 years ago.
I know. A lot of people say they don't remember the time during that time. Like it's just like a blur, which makes sense. I think it was quite traumatic for everybody.
It is. And it's in some ways it feels like yesterday. In some ways it feels like it never happened.
Exactly. And now that life seems completely normal, they even declared that it's not an emergency anymore and yada, yada. I'm just glad that the only good thing that came out of it for me was this podcast.
I know it is pretty good. And, it was for me, it was a great time for me to build all of this so that I can now live in Paris.
Exactly. You were building your life here. We were podcasting, like bringing more attention to our work. So thank you guys again for listening and always sticking with us. We appreciate you. And if there's any shows that you'd like to hear about or any people we haven't talked about, feel free to send a message to Claudine on her website, claudinehemingway.com, and then we can talk about them as well because we're always looking for new ideas. I think you guys enjoyed our true crime. Let us know. It was super fun for us to create. The first one I want to talk about is some of the most surprising episodes. And I think me and Claudine had the same one for this first one is the restoration of Notre Dame. I mean, I really enjoyed that episode. Claudine gave us so much great information about how they're recreating the same way they built it when it was originally built. I mean, can you imagine? That's so difficult. I can't believe that they're doing that. And it's just shocking to me. Like, what do you think, Claudine?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about being this 12th century, that started to be built, and we're in the 21st century. I mean, it's pretty amazing. The fact that those craftsmen, which really should be, I love that now if you walk around in front of Notre Dame, there's those walls up and they change them out every probably 6 months or so. Right now, it's all about the story of the people working on it. And I think that is I love that they share those stories and they're putting, some of these kids are probably like, who cares? Because, it seems to be when we're older, we actually care about things like this, like history. But I mean, how amazing is it that they're the ones working to restore the Renaissance, so that they call it, of Notre Dame. And just to say that, I mean, there's going to be kids, it just gives me chills thinking about this someday could be like, my grandma or my grandpa worked on restoring Notre Dame after the fire. It's just the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's really wild to think about. And like you said, Paris is so good at sharing those details of how they do things in the history. And when they're building, they put up those giant boards to give you some information so you're not just looking at construction, which we really appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, right now the Arc de Triomphe de Carousel is being restored, and walk around the whole side of it, and it has like the history of it. It has details about the restoration. It's really cool that they use those walls for doing that and sharing that and kind of giving, I did a live video around there the other day, in conjunction with the episode we did about the commune fire, and it was perfect because I was like walking and doing a live video and I was like, here's the photos, here's the painting. It's really cool. A really cool update about Notre Dame. Just yesterday, they started adding in the rafters for the roof.
That's super exciting. I had a couple people reach out to me and saying they're really interested in the restoration. I'm like, well, listen to this episode. This is a great episode for you.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, it's so cool because, they've started building the spire. The scaffolding is going up around it. So as the scaffolding gets higher, that the scaffold or the spire is getting higher, because we're not, I kept thinking maybe I'll see it growing out of the top, but really you're seeing the scaffolding. But they had to get that to a certain point to start dropping in these rafters, which are just these kind of triangle shape. They're having them done off site, and then they just bring them in and they're just lowering them in there. So we're going to probably see, they say we'll still see the spire by the end of the year. We're probably going to see a good majority of the roof.
Oh, that's awesome because I'm so tired of just looking at the construction back there.
I
I've
know, it's
had
just so much. It's just, but it's, they're working 7 days a week, and it's really cool and amazing to watch it change.
Yeah. So that was one of the most surprising ones for me. And these are my top three. My next one was Saving the Louvre. I love that episode. It's so fascinating how they just spread the art all over the place to try to get it away before war and all these things that were happening. I mean, Paris has been through so much. And just the fact that people thought of the art is amazing to me. It's very surprising. I mean, not surprising, but surprising, like maybe take care of yourselves first. But they're like, no, we have to save this art.
Yeah, and that was, of course, that was my other favorite one too. Because it was really hard for me not just to pick three that just had to do with the Louvre.
Yeah.
Because I love everything about it. And, and that was great because it was 2 episodes. So you get over an hour of, all of this information about how they saved it and the people. And, and hopefully that when you, listen to that, when you go to the Louvre, it kind of enhances your visit to the Louvre. When I take tours in there, I share a lot of that. Like, if I'm talking about the raft of the Medusa and I'm giving you the story of the true incident about the painting, about Jericho, facts about the painting. But then I also always tell people about these pieces and what happened to them during the war,
Yeah,
because
and
it's part of their story.
exactly. I think, like you were saying, there should be a little plaque in the Louvre saying this was saved from here or this went here or whatever. Maybe that'd be too
Yeah.
much extra writing, but it is fascinating.
Yeah, that would be so cool if you could do that. I mean, I wish that they would update their guide. They used to have an app, and the app with all of the dialogue stopped working. They like just got rid of it. And then it just had on there where like this is the map and this is the hours, and then that stopped working.
Ah,
So you would think that just about every big museum, these days has an app with all this information on it, but they really don't in France. I mean, you have one for Versailles and some of the other ones, but the Orsay and the Louvre do not have an official app, which is really bizarre.
that's so strange. Well, I know the Louvre has those weird little Game Boys or whatever.
Yes. Yeah,
That,
they're
and
Nintendos.
yeah, and I'm just like, I would think they would have an app, it'd just
Yeah.
be normal.
Yeah.
Maybe there's too
I'll
much
talk to them.
controversy about who to make it, how to make it.
Yeah, I'll be in there Tuesday for a special exhibit that we'll talk about next week. But I'll get to go in there. I might get to even be there with the president.
Whoa,
I
Mr.
know.
Macron. Well, he needs like lots of security right now. Everybody hates him now.
I know, but I still love him. So move over, Brigitte. I'm coming in.
I'm still hold out for him.
I just think he's very handsome. Yeah. But
Yes.
that is what's really cool. I mean, and that I just, we said it in the episode, but it is just, the knowing, and, when you look at a piece of art in the wall and you just think about who had it before. I mean, especially in the Louvre or the Orsay, if you go in the Pompidou or you go to like contemporary museums, some of that stuff went from an artist right into the museum. But these things, the hands that these went through, the places that they were, if they were sent to Italy, somebody bought it there, and then eventually it came to France, and it's just the provenance. We should do one sometime and pick a couple of paintings and just do the provenance on it, because it's really, really interesting. And then also, that's not only that, but also what happened with World War II, which I didn't even put on my list.
Oh yeah, there's so many episodes, so we can't even remember all of them. I'm sure you guys have your favorites too. But I like the idea of going through like artwork on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the next thing we need to do.
Yeah.
And then my third most surprising episode was the flooding of the Seine. I mean, even today when I walk around and I see the plaques on the building saying the Seine was this high in 19 whatever or 18 whatever. And then the statues that literally measure how high the water goes, like right underneath the bridges. We talked about those special statues that
Zouave.
even show how high the water goes. I just find it fascinating. Like you wouldn't think the water could get that high.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you think of how high the water got. Because if you do walk, especially around the edges at the left and right bank, and you see those green markers that say Crew 1910, and sometimes you're standing next to a building and that marker is at your shoulder.
Yeah.
And you think that that was water all the way up to there. And that was, I mean, there's so much of that that was just crazy. Now, I think I'm like gonna be terrified in the winter if there's like a big, like a big snowstorm and then it gets really warm and I'm gonna be like, Crystal.
Yeah, you're pretty low over there. You
I
got to come
know
up
I'm a
on the
little
hill.
low on this side. You're up there nice and high.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, it's fascinating. You don't look at the sun the same ever again.
No, and even when we had the floods, what, a couple years ago, they didn't get that high, but of course the news made it look like the whole city was covered in water, but it did get flooded at the bottom parts along the walkways and things like that. So we are due for another big one.
Yeah, I mean, the last really, really big one was 2018. And that's when the Louvre decided, because there was a 2016 and 2018, and that's when the Louvre decided, we gotta move this stuff out of the basement. We need a facility.
Yeah.
And then built that facility in northern France in Lens. But because in 2018 it got really high and it never really did much this year.
No, no, I think we had a drought this last year, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't really ever get very high. I think when I was maybe that's I don't know, all the years go together, but I remember walking over the Pont de Carousel, and there was the bank on the side of the right bank, and then had steps, so basically there's steps right into the water. And I remember going across one day and I'd be like, okay, I see 6 steps today, and the next day I'd be like, I only see 4 steps.
Like, I'm noticing this.
Yeah. My third one is, of course, and she was when we did the 100 episodes, we did, but I can't not have my girl, Rose Valland. We did her, she was our episode 9
Wow.
of the Avec Claudine, or Rebecca Hemingway, but 24 as far as the podcast, and that was done July 20th, 2020. But she's still, I can't talk about her enough. I love her so much. And we actually just talked about her a lot last week too, when we talked about the degenerate art. So between Rose and Delacroix, they get into almost every episode.
Yes, I mean, I think Delacroix is going to be on your favorites list, not your surprising list.
It's
I have a
surprisingly not. I thought it was too easy.
We owe too much to Rose. Rose is fantastic.
I
And
love her so much. I really wish that she, it's sad that so many, I understand Americans not knowing who she is, but it's really sad that a lot of French people don't know who she is. I mean, people that are in the art world and stuff, but, normal people. But again, look at you've got so many people in French history that did so many cool, amazing things that, I can't blame them for not knowing her. But after I tell them about her, they better remember.
yes, we need to talk about her. Everyone needs to know her name. She did so much for the country and the art world. So thank you, Rose. We're also
Thank you,
dedicating this to
Rose.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Rose. She was
Now we
amazing.
can talk about our list of top 3 favorite episodes. And I'm
Surprising.
surprising favorites. So I'm sure you guys all have yours as well, but for me it was the Palais Garnier. I love the Palais Garnier and the history there. And every time I go to a show there, I could just go there and stare at the ceiling. I mean, Chagall looking down on us. Who cares about what's even on the stage? The place is so beautiful. And I like to just go on the private. You can do your own walking tour around there with like 10 euros. You can do
Yeah.
a self-guided tour. And I always say it's like going to Versailles without going to Versailles.
It is so gorgeous. And also a little trick too. If you go to the Orsay, save your ticket, show it to them, you get a discount when you buy your ticket.
Oh, that's good to know.
And
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
time frame. It's like within the same week.
Oh, that's
So
perfect. So it doesn't
yeah,
have to be the
there's
same
no
day.
time frame on that. So get a little couple of, and if you're, I think when I showed my Louvre membership, you get in right for free.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to get a Louvre membership again. Also, a fun thing to do is if you go the day before a show, you can usually get discount tickets. I've gone to see so many ballets
Oh
for
yeah.
25 euros because they just want to fill the seats. So whatever's open, you just say, give me the best seat, and the prices are discounted. And you can get to see an amazing show that would normally cost like 200 bucks for 25 euros. So
And just being in that space alone is worth it.
yeah, even if the show's not very good. I mean, I've been to shows that were a little too modern for me,
Yeah.
and I literally just walked out during intermission. But it was like I still got to see an amazing half of a show, half of just being in the building for 25 bucks. So why not?
Yeah. There's talk of them changing because there's an original ceiling underneath the Chagall one when they
Oh,
built it. And I saw something online about these people that are trying to get the petition to take the Chagall one down. It's still
whoa.
underneath there.
Yikes, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, no way. Like I mean, I love Chagall so much. And it's just amazing to go in there and see that. I think I had to go there like 4 or 5 times before I actually got in there. Because if they're doing a rehearsal, you can't go inside and see it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's true.
So
They close
that's
the
closed
doors.
off. And they
Yeah.
tell you to look on the website, but every time I went, I looked on the website and it said it was fine. And then you'd go there, they'd say no. So keep that in mind if you're going to go, or just go and get that discounted ticket, and then you'll get in there for sure.
Exactly. What about you, Claudine?
So one of the ones I really liked was so I have two of the true crime ones on, and then Marguerite Steinhell. That was the one we did. We just did that not that long ago, March 27th, 2023. And that was really fascinating because I always loved the story about her and her affair with the president, Felix Faroux, and how she, they thought maybe she killed him because she snuck into the Elysee Palace as she did many times. And he really needed to see her, and she was pleasuring him.
As we
And
say.
he had a massive stroke in the process and died.
I mean, that's one way to go.
That's one way. I guess if you're gonna go, you might as well go that way, right?
Go
But
happy.
I remember when I was looking up like who were some of these major true crime stories, and I was looking up hers, and it was like Marguerite Steinhall, because the whole thing that how she came up for that was because her husband and her mother were killed in their home. They
Yikes.
found her, she was tied up to the bed. She said that it was robbers that came in. And when I started, and I was like, oh, this is a good one. And I started digging, and then I was like, no way. She was the one with the president. So I just loved that connection. And it was interesting because then, you could go back and listen to the episode for sure. And I'll put all the links directly to each one we mentioned. But she, she went to jail for exactly 1 year, but then she wasn't convicted of that. So we really don't know who killed him.
I mean, the connections, though, this happens all the time on the show, how things are all connected. It's very strange.
I know, and I love that.
We enjoy it. You do the research, and I get to appreciate it. My next one is Momart and its artists. I obviously am a super fan of Momart. I've lived up here for almost 10 years. I met my husband here. You'll find me wandering the streets. Claudine finds me all the time wandering the streets when she's giving tours up here.
Almost every time. I didn't see you yesterday, but almost every time. I'm always on the lookout.
Yes, keep your eye out. I was actually in my apartment filming yesterday, so you should have
Oh,
just came and knocked on the door
I
and
know. Well, we
hung
usually
out.
spot Coco.
Yeah, Coco's a barking machine, so
Yeah.
you can find him very easily. But just learning about the artists that lived here, and once again, I love that we talk so much about female artists in Montmartre and other places in France because they just didn't get the credit that they deserve, and I want people to know about them.
Yeah, there's so many cool. I mean, I all the time, like especially if I'm doing tours in the Orsay or in Montmartre, and I always mention Suzanne Valadon because she was our very first.
Yeah,
So
love
and then
Suzanne.
Dalida. We love Dalida, and I even said the other day that we call her the French Cher.
Yes, French Cher. I walk by her every day, her little statue, and we play ball on her street where her house is.
Oh,
Actually,
do
it's
you give
usually
her a
right
rub
there.
for luck?
I don't sexually harass her at the end of her life. I feel kind of bad for her. Like this.
It's so funny too because even yesterday when I took 4 people up there, and then I tell them, and people are so bashful about doing it. But I
Yeah.
had this amazing couple that I loved. I had them for like 5 days while they were in Paris. They were so much fun from New Orleans. And her husband, Steve, and I go, okay, well, here's the thing. You got to rub it for luck. And he got right on in there.
He was not shy.
He was not shy at all. And it was adorable. But yesterday I couldn't get them to, I was like, go on there. I did it one time. So I took a picture and I even felt a little weird about it.
Yeah. I mean, it just feels weird considering the circumstances of her death. I'm like,
Well,
oh.
and in case people don't know what it is or haven't seen, it's a bust of her, and it's literally a bust of her.
Yeah.
So, it's her breasts and her face and everything, and it's in bronze. And so all of it's been patinaed except for her breasts.
Yeah.
It's all shiny because but then you walk around the corner and there's the man who, walked through walls and his hand. And so anytime you see statues in Paris and they're bronze and then part of it is shiny, that's where you're supposed to rub for luck.
Yeah, get lucky, guys. I hope it's bringing you guys lots of luck. And what about you, Claudine? What's your next one?
So my next one is another true crime, and it was about Henri Landru, who was the
Mm.
Bluebeard. And just recently I saw that somebody, and I need to go back, and I wish I would have read the article, but I saved it. I was on my phone and I saw it, but there was like some new study about it. So I'm definitely going to look that up, and I'll look it up and put what I find. I'll write something about it on the website. But I just thought that that episode was just so interesting, and how he would find these women in the want ads, and then he would, invite them over and get to know them, and then realize that, they had some, money and everything, and then invite him to his, country house for the weekend, and they never came back again. But
Yeah, it
he was, and
wasn't.
then just how brazen he was, and how they came to arrest him, and it was his 50th birthday, and he just thought he just thought he could kind of get away with it. And the fact that they never found any of the victims, because he would burn their identifying parts, and
Ugh.
and the fact that his house that he did this, outside of Paris, is now a restaurant, which is gross. I would
Yeah.
never eat there.
I was we need to put that address on the website. Stay away, guys. Stay
I mean,
away.
it could be the greatest restaurant in the world, but the fact that these women were burned in an oven, I am not.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be like, I'll have a salad.
Like, I'm definitely not gonna eat here, and this place is probably very haunted.
Yeah, but that was 2 episodes, because that was just so much. And that's the thing when we do some of these, most of the pretty much every single time, if it turns into 2 episodes, is because I have just found so much good information, and
Yeah.
I really have a hard time with editing things down. And so, but I just find, like, I'm like, oh, but there's all these twists and turns, and there's all these great little things about it, and I just love to share it with people.
Yeah, and I'm sure they appreciate you doing all that research, because she's got to go do some deep dives, guys. I mean, through books and the internet, this information is not easy to find all the time.
It's not, but that is what's kind of, my friend John Baxter, who's a very prolific writer. He and I talk all the time. He's written some great books about Paris. He and I talk about all the time that that's the best part. The research is the most fun.
Yeah, research is fun for
Yeah.
some of us, not for everybody.
Well, sometimes if it's something I'm not super like, oh, this is what I'm really loving to learn, then it's kind of, it's not very, it's kind of like, it's like a chore.
Yeah.
It's kind of being in school where you're told you have to read something. But because sometimes, and I've done research, I've started doing research on something we do on the podcast, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. And then I've just stopped, because it's like, if I'm not excited about it, then that's not going to come through.
Yeah, then it becomes like homework.
Exactly.
And yeah, there was somebody you were researching. I remember it was just too foul. You were
Simone
like,
de Beauvoir.
yeah, you're like, never mind.
Nope. Horrible person. Nope.
Never mind. Well, my last pick is The Widows of Champagne. Being a small business owner myself, I appreciate these ladies being the first to run businesses in the
Amazing.
wine world too, which was
Mhm.
dominated by men like everything back then. So it's pretty wild to me that these women ran these successful businesses, and it was the only way they could be allowed to do that is if their husbands passed away. So it makes you wonder what happened to all these husbands. But
I
there was
know.
a lot of female champagne house owners out there.
Well, there was the one that got crushed by the elevator.
Yeah, I mean, that probably wasn't an accident.
That was, yeah. But it was really cool, because back then, because of the Napoleonic law, women, the only way you could really have a job or be in a company was if you're a widow. So if, Madame Clicquot or Madame Pommery, if they remarried, they wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so they had to basically stay like single boss babes.
Yeah. So, it's really interesting. I was in Champagne a few weeks ago. I was there again. This is last week for the day with some people. I took some people out there, and, I went to Lançon, which is one that I really love. And then I went to Ruinart, but, Lançon was one we talked about, because it was, the woman that started it, her husband started it, and she took it over, and then it was later sold. But, I went to Palmery a month or so ago, and it's fun to see all of that. So it's a great one if you're going to go to Champagne. Listen to that episode, and also listen to the Veuve Clicquot because it's just neat to go there and then hear about it. But it is really interesting. So when we talked about Madame Clicquot as well, she was the one who invented the riddling rack.
Hmm.
So riddling is what is the process they do to get the yeast out of the bottle. And she was trying to figure out how to do this. And so she cut those holes in her dining room table and took it into the winery and said, okay, this is how we're going to do this. And anywhere you make champagne or sparkling wine in the world, this is what they do. I mean, bigger houses now have big machines that do this. But it's this A-frame looking piece of, wood, and it's got these holes in it, and they shift it and stuff. And it is very interesting that not one single champagne house that I've been to gives her that credit.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like, why? Why? But once
Yeah.
again, women, not getting the credit they deserve.
No, and I also think that, Ruinar and all those ones, they probably don't want to be like, talking about another
Another
champagne
house,
house.
yeah. They're like, focus
But
on
it's
our
kind of
house.
like, come on, like, and then, like Paul Marie and, they created some of those very first brut champagnes, and, that's all part of the history. They should actually talk about those things. But then again, the people giving these tours might not even know any of that.
Yeah, this is true. And
Yeah.
that's why they need to listen to our podcast,
I
just to
know. I
learn
should
all
I
about
should tell them before I arrive. I'd like you
it.
to listen to this before.
I'm sure they would love that in
Yeah,
English too.
they would really love that. But my other one is kind of a double one. I cheated. And so we did in 2021, we did two episodes. One that was about the ladies of Monet, and one that was the ladies of Manet. The ladies of Monet, I really loved because I got to share the story of Camille, who was his first wife, and then Alice, the one he had the affair with, and then she
Yeah.
moved in and he
Yeah.
married her after Camille died. And it's just such he really loved Camille. And then Alice comes in to take care of her. Camille had ovarian cancer and she died. And then Alice said, burn everything
Yeah.
to get rid of
Man.
any memory of her.
Yeah, we lost so much great art. That makes me really sad.
We did. So I'm always like, I'm on Team Camille for that one. But the ladies of Manet were more about the women he painted, including one of our other favorites, Berthe Morisot. We know how much you should have done all three of them about Berthe. You
Bertha.
could have a Berthe wheel. You could all of the Berts, as you
My
call them.
favorite Bert.
But the Manet, because I just love Manet, and with Victorine Moreau and Bart Morisot and all of that, and how he painted these women and they inspired him, and and there's also Camille Claudel that we did about and how she inspired Rodin. So there's just so many. I mean, I literally had to look at the list quickly because if I put too much thought into this, there's no way I would be able to choose because I can choose favorites. I always if I'm in a museum, I'll say this is one of my favorite paintings, and sometimes people say, like, you said this like 20 times now. I can't pick.
It's like
But
choosing your favorite child, right?
it would be. I mean, some of these, I do get so attached to some of these people when we do the research.
Yeah.
It gets like and then it's for me, all of this kind of just gets locked in my head. So then I love it because then I could reference back to them and think about them all the time. And there's so many of these women we've talked about in these areas of Paris. There's just so much of it that we could use and appreciate today. It's not just just because it might have happened in the 17th or 18th century. It's still a lot of this is still relevant today.
Yeah, definitely. And as we said, we really appreciate you guys listening, and we're always open to your feedback. So please reach out and tell us your favorites, and make sure you head over to ClaudineHemingway.com to learn more, to join her live tours, to take a real life tour with her and continue the fun there. Thanks for listening today, guys. If you're interested in learning more about Claudine, her tours, history, and the beautiful photographs that she posts all over Instagram, tune into her website, ClaudineHemingway.com.